When I was in college, I took some art classes, and we referred to our art classes very often as art in the dark, because you sat about an hour and a half with a professor who had a slide projector and would just click through slides and would talk for 10 to 15 to 30 minutes on each slide. I'm going to call this morning Art in the Light, because I would like to speak about this second stained glass window on your right. Our first reading today from the book of Hebrews speaks about Melchizedek. Everyone say Melchizedek. The stained glass window on your right is an image of Melchizedek. Melchizedek is the gentleman on the right dressed in red. Melchizedek is greeted here by Abraham. Abraham is the father of all of Judaism. Abraham had one son. His name was Isaac. And if you look across the way, this is a stained glass window on the other side of Abraham and his son Isaac. However, keep your eyes over here because we're focusing on this stained glass window during Art in the Light this morning. So, on the right is Melchizedek, on the left is Abraham. Abraham had just won a great battle. He was victorious, and this is why he has a sign, a banner of victory. So sometimes, if you remember, like when we have our tomb up here, images of the risen Savior often have what? The victor, Jesus is holding in his hand a staff with a banner, a flag. It's a sign of victory. So Abraham here is victorious. If you look, I love art, I love stained glass windows. If you look directly above Abraham's head in the gray, which may look like a rock, you'll actually see all of Abraham's men. Do you see the men above his head? Those are the men coming back from war. You have to pay very close attention. Pay attention to the details, my brothers and sisters. But you see his men, so they're coming back from war. They're victorious. Abraham meets Melchizedek. And Abraham gives him a tenth of everything. That's called tithing. I just want to make a connection here. You should give me a tenth of everything as well, because I am your priest. You have to give a tenth of everything to God. Hopefully you do that. If you don't, talk to God about that. But what happens here is Abraham comes back from war. He's so delighted that he gives a tenth of everything to Melchizedek. Who is on the right? Melchizedek. That's Melchizedek. Now, what do we know about Melchizedek? This is what we know about Melchizedek. We know it from the book of Genesis, the book of Psalms, and the book of Hebrews. We're reading the book of Hebrews right now, second reading. Melchizedek, a priest. So this man here on the right is a priest. He's offering a sacrifice. So directly behind Melchizedek, you'll see a 4-layered stone altar. And on that altar is a loaf of bread. Do you see the loaf of bread on the altar? And then in Melchizedek's left hand is a chalice. So he's offering a sacrifice of bread and wine. So here's a priest. He's offering a sacrifice of bread and wine. But what does Melchizedek also have on his head? A crown. Because he's also a king. Specifically, he is the king of Shalem, which also translates shalom. For anybody who's been to the Holy Land, how does everyone in the Holy Land greet each other? Shalom. What does shalom mean? Peace. Who do you know that is a priest who offers a sacrifice of bread and wine who's also the King of Peace? Jesus. This is why Melchizedek is a prefigurement, a foreshadowing of Jesus, who is the eternal high priest, who institutes a sacrifice of bread and wine, who is the King of Peace, and also this is what we know about Melchizedek. In the book of Hebrews, it speaks about how Melchizedek has no ancestry, which means he has no beginning and no end. So he's a priest, a king, and he has no beginning, no end. He is the Alpha and the Omega. All of this we see fulfilled in Jesus. This is why this is also really, really, really important, is because Abraham's ancestry will ultimately lead to Jacob, or Israel, having 12 sons. And those 12 sons will become the 12 tribes of Israel. And only one of those tribes becomes a priestly tribe. And that one priestly tribe is the tribe of Levi. All priests must come from the tribe of Levi. Yet Jesus is born of the tribe of Judah. So Jesus cannot be a priest of the Old Testament lineage because he wasn't born into that tribe. But thanks be to God, Jesus does not claim to be a priest of the Old Testament. Priests of the Old Testament offered sacrifices different than themselves. The Old Testament priests offered sacrifices of lambs, of cattle. They offered sacrifices of something different than themselves. Jesus is a new priest and has a different priesthood because he offers himself. He doesn't offer a lamb, he offers himself. He doesn't offer a cow, he offers himself. And thus his priesthood, his kingship, he aligns with the order of Melchizedek. So you are a priest forever in the order or the lineage of Melchizedek. Also, thanks be to God that Jesus established a new priesthood, because if he didn't, then the only way that you could become a priest is if you were born into the family of the Levites, which means I wouldn't be a priest. Father Mayen wouldn't be a priest. Father Hollowell wouldn't be a priest because we're not all of the same family. So when we look at this window, every time you come to Mass, you'll be like, oh look, there's a priest, there's a king, he has no ancestry, he's offering a sacrifice of bread and wine. And all of that is fulfilled right here. Where Jesus, the new priest, in the line of Melchizedek, who is a king, a priest, has no ancestry, has no beginning, has no end, offers a sacrifice of bread and wine, which is not separate from himself, it is himself. And he gives that to us at every single Mass. Isn't that amazing? Okay, your homework for next week will be to study the rest of the windows and to write an essay on all of them. Thank you for coming to Art in the Light.